I should say here, one place. Okay. That goes. Jessica, what do we got here?
Now, department head updates, Chief Flynn?
Alrighty, last month we did 43 911 calls, 101 transfers for a total of 144. Year to date, 911 calls, 228 transfers, 429 for a total of 657. Last year at this time, 911 calls for the month of April were 62, transfers 108, a total of 170. Year to date, last year at this time was for 911 264, and transfers 445 for a total of 709. I think the reason for the downward trend is the nursing home trips that we've kind of getting back on. Littleton's doing all of the ones from their facility.
Lafayette and
Lafayette.
Cambodia.
Yeah.
That's good.
And Country Village bought their own van, so they're bringing most of their own patients back.
So you do transport them up, and they'll go get them.
Unless they're that can. Last month we did 2 health inspections and 2 fire inspections. I apologize, I put it in the ambulances are running well. We've got a couple of issues that I'll discuss those with you in just a second. And I apologize again because I kind of stole, I wanted to follow up on some of these list items, and I left in fire trucks for service. Yes, they were serviced. They were serviced a couple months back. Engine 4 will be fixed tomorrow. The rung on the ladder truck will be fixed at Wednesday. We'll be bringing the truck down. The air packs and the compressor were serviced last week. No major problems found, fortunately. And I've already received the bill for that. That's the big problem, but that was a joke. We haven't put any of the new ambulances in service yet. Hopefully by the end of this month, we'll have one of them in. We're gonna keep the other one out of service as long as we can. Try to extend it out so we don't have to purchase another one next year. One of the ambulances, the van, the older van, is going to the not body shop, the garage, the Ford garage on Friday. It keeps, there's a code that comes on that's saying that it's the timing chain, and to change that particular timing chain, they were quoting us like 10 grand. So we're hoping that's not what it is, but we're going to confirm that this Friday. And even though that one might be going out, our numbers are down enough, so we might be able to not with that last service until later on this year. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's our hope.
Brand, where's the ladder truck get repaired?
Lakes region, which is down near Ossipee.
How long do you think it'll be there?
I'm hoping just a couple of days. The rear subframe, and I'm just telling you what I was told, because I don't know anything about cars or trucks, is rusted out on the car that I drive around, which is repairable for $1,000 for parts, and Tom's gonna fix that by the end of the week. guess if everything was holding the suspension or something like that. Other than that, all was good. I didn't say that. What's the age of the? It's 2000, that's a 2013. We purchased that for $10,000 from Leapsoft. Yeah. That was the old paramedic in there. It is getting, the rocker panels are getting a little tender on it, Tom said, but he figured we could get another year or so off of it, so we'll go for it.
Thank you very much. Chief Clerk.
Since last meeting, which was April 21st, well, service, 423. 4 crashes, 81 motor vehicle stops, and 5 arrests. I think that's 6, because Officer Walker was on the arrest of them. So, the same time period last year, so we had 536 calls for service, 7 crashes, 235 stops, and 11 arrests. Year to date so far this year in 2025, we've had 2,417 calls for service, 36 motor vehicle crashes, 721 stops, and 78 arrests. Year to date 2024 was 2,285 calls for service, 34 crashes, 890 stops, and 52 arrests. Some are going up, some are going down. Mileages on the cruisers, how do you
Yeah, they're on.
Cruiser 1 is, which is the K9 Explorer, is 4,016 miles. Cruiser 2, which is the 2021 Explorer, is 79,267 miles. Cruiser 4, which is the 2019 Explorer, has 109,212 miles, and Cruiser 5 is the 2023 Explorer, 48,905 miles. The speed trailer we have in, it's up and running. I've been moving it around quite a bit throughout town. That seems to be working. I had one resident reach out to the PD about his road saying, hey, you know, can we get the speed trailer over here? I think cars are going fast. So the next morning I put it on his road and left it there for the weekend. So if people call in and, you know, they have a specific spot and let to see it, I'll absolutely put it there. As long as it's a safe area for it. We're doing
Cars going fast on that road?
I'm sorry?
Were cars going fast on that road?
No, it's Stockwell Road. So,
Oh,
and then, last month, 2 weeks back, we did a bike to school event, which is actually the first day we had the speed trailer, or the first week anyway. It was a big hit. The kids enjoyed it. We're gonna do it again on May 28th. School reached out, they want to do it again. So on May 28th that morning, we do another bike to school event. So, sorry, Cherry.
no, I just deleted everything.
Undo.
Thank goodness for undo.
So yeah, that's my report.
I've neglected to tell you that, Lunenburg paid $15,000 on their bill ahead of time. And they thought we could use the money.
But,
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll never say no.
Jefferson has paid in Guildhall, we're still awaiting their payment.
There's some paid in full?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Guildhall has not paid.
Thank you. Martha? I really don't have much. Our winter spring season is fading fast and the summer program is in place. There'll be as usual activities every day after the afternoon with kids. And some in the morning as well. So we're in good shape. I'm still waiting to hear from Central Technology about the repair of our HVAC and furnace. They said this week they have the parts, they let me know. Still coming up? There was there. Going really well, with people playing they don't get it anywhere. You have it annually on Saturday, Memorial Day weekend? We have 2 a year. We have one Saturday, we have one And one who started before Columbus Day, every year for the last 30 years probably. And people say they don't know about it, but they don't read the newspaper. Or get the word out to people anymore. Sort of nothing over the head and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
A friendly library. Thank you. Eli couldn't be here tonight. It's mid-baseball season. He did say that the pool pump was installed and the roof should be replaced soon. And then summer safe haven signups are available. That's it. Department heads, you're free to leave if you so choose to, otherwise we'll move down on the agenda. First up this evening, appointment for Alan Savage regarding bidding procedure.
Well, as you know, putting out the gravel bid saves the town some money. But I guess I wonder why all the gravel wasn't put out at the same time, what benefit it was to waste money on the advertising, not to all the gravel bid, because we still have gravel needs to be bid, if the team wants to. Team doesn't want to participate, then you can buy some more if you want. For instance, so you gotta put it out and bid, think we have to, gravel, that the competitive bid did the town a lot of good for our price when. So, forward to seeing you guys doing that. Now, you've got the winter stands come up. And Kevin mentioned it a couple of meetings ago. You could do that at the same time and save on the advertising. But it all could have been done when the other two bids for 3/4 gravel and 6-inch stone were done, and it should have been in my opinion. And the other thing, we talked with Carol's man, Keith McDowell, that bids for Clark Carroll up and down the state of Vermont and up and down the state of New Hampshire. He's got a lot of experience. He had a sample, he didn't know he had to send a sample, so he didn't. Well, let's talk about the samples. Tim, but I got a hernia, it wasn't a sample, something there. Shane can't pass on those because each one of them's there. Tim worked with Shane basically, so Tim had no Shane. So, and you two no reflection on Kathy, Jean, and Leon, but you don't know a bucket of gravel from a bucket of sand, and we don't. So, Tim, Keith McDonald says, no town. Yeah. What? One tell you why, for instance, and Keith, same thing. Sample came from the old, it came from Carroll. We don't know if that sample came from AB's bid or I don't know. Keith McDonald and I both agree that only a tool would bring a sample in that wouldn't pass the test. If your pit doesn't up to standard, you would solve it with some other stuff. A pile of crusher run, you know the thing. A pile of crusher runner can have a weak spot in it, and where there's a stone, not enough stone, and it can have a pile with too much stone in it. It's working wrong. If you are taking a sample and you want to make sure it passes, you go over here and take sand, take some stone, and you make sure the mix is proper. So that's what I'm saying is it's wasting you guys' time to ask for a sample until man wins the bid. And then you should send an uninterested party to the pit to take the sample. You shouldn't take the sample from the vendor. I think Keith McDonald agrees with me, and I think he was one brought it up. He said only a fool into a 5-gallon bucket didn't pass. So then we go back to the advertising thing. Nobody reads paper, you know that. If he sits down in Newport, New Hampshire, he didn't get a paper. He can't read every paper in the state looking for a bid on gravel. So I encourage you guys to continue to put it out to everybody that you know. You, Carol, anybody that has a pit that you know of, because let's face it, people are not reading paper. And like I say, you can't expect somebody in Newport to be looking for paper in one kid. One guy told me this past week to get canceled in Caledonia, that he used to get delivered to his house every day because the mail service is not, I know that you guys are on roll, delivery. Mail service is delivered about 3 days a week now. mix it all, or go through, sit until you select the draw when you get mail and whatnot. Mail purposes. But I just, I think that, you should put everything out. I made a list of about a dozen items that the town of Lancaster could use. Sandy fill, 3/4, inch and a half. I would hope that, if they're using 3/4 in discretionary paint, not 3/4 in a 5-foot deal. They should be getting paid rather than 6.5 pointers and, yeah, the inch and a half and then 3/4 on top. To fill a hole with 3/4 would be a one fell voice of money. So, will you people put the rest of it out for bid?
Like Jessica to answer that, I'd like to stay totally out of it if we could.
As far as future materials, the town of Lancaster solicited probably a dozen different types of materials and machines, which we may need at the ready in the event something strikes. So we've mailed out specifically to a number of organizations in the area who provide these services. We'll also be posting this to the website. In regards to your questions about where the previous bids were posted, they were posted to the town's website, the town's social media accounts, the newspaper, as well as NHMA. So, and they were also hard copy mailed to 4 different organizations. I don't know how else I can reasonably,
When you say newspaper, was that Caledonia?
that either that or the union.
You have in the pages.
So hard copies went to, or
Cloutier, Carroll, AB, and Beatty.
received hard copies. So regardless if they read the paper or not, or read our website, they receive something, then yes.
Well, this is the thing, I mean, this is what I'm trying to bring up, is you cannot depend on the paper. Because people aren't reading it. And, our website, here again. I might look at the website, because I know a lot of people don't. People from down in Newport, Vermont, and, New Hampshire, aren't gonna look at the Lancaster website. I mean, I think it behooves the town to get as many bidders in as they can. So, is it up on the website now, what the materials are, how many materials?
I can put it on.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I get it. Okay.
All right, there are no public hearings this evening. Next up is the review of minutes for the May 5th, 2025 work session.
I'll make a motion, to accept the regular meeting minutes of May 5 in one session, May 5 as presented.
Can I get a second? Oh, no.
President.
You weren't here, so I'll have to second that.
Yeah.
I second that. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Oh, yeah, I did them together instead of separate, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're here.
Can I get a motion for the regular selectmen?
I did it together as opposed to one, yeah. Okay. Got it. Oh, right, because he wasn't at the work session, he was at the, yeah, so which one did we just do, the regular one?
The work session, let's just talk.
Well, I said both, but we can say except for work session, I just had to get the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second.
Now comes the regular meeting.
Regular meeting.
Yeah.
A motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from March 17th, 2025. And the 8th.
Wait,
Well,
April 21, I don't know what year we came, well, I can say April 21, is this, just to be a little different there. Is April in?
yeah, hopefully. So this will review minutes March 17th and April 21.
Hey, do you have the right?
But it's very tough.
Because we did it at the May 5th meeting. Do you have the right agenda?
How many pages is it?
Okay. Oh, babies.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from May 5th, 2025, regular meeting.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye. Busy flipping pages.
Ah. Next up this evening is a Conservation Commission appointee recommendation. The Lancaster Conservation Commission on May 12th, 2025 voted to recommend appointment of Samantha Sabine for a 2-year term expiring in 2027. This term is filling a vacant position with a staggered expiration date.
We have to vote on this.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, I met with Sam, I attended the, LCC meeting in April, and she attended as interested party, and then I've met with her individually. Professionally, she, works with, native plants, and also has her license for nutmeg spraying. So I think she'll be a great, asset to the Conservation Commission. I would make a motion to,
Okay.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
I-
Aye.
Johnny's got it. He's on.
New business is also 2025 deeding. So this is information for you this evening, so you can consume it for your next meeting.
So, I've given you the timeline. The next meeting, you guys will decide whether you want to issue a deed waiver or not. The list is there, and then behind the list is just some notes that I've given you to, see where we're at. For any other information, just pop in or chat about it or whatever. Thank you.
Old business, no other new business this evening. Old business 1 is the bid cruiser and dump. So as you recall, the last time we had the cruiser with a reserve of, I think, 2,000 or 3,000, and the dump truck for 5,000. We received 1 bid for the police cruiser, which was one for $110, and none for the dump truck. And as you can just remember my last time, you spent money to put this in the newspaper. We also promoted it fairly widely, including the town's website, NHMA, social media, so on and so forth. I believe the police department also shared our post on social media. So looking for a little bit of guidance from you all this evening as to how we proceed with these 2 insights. Chief and I did reach out to a scrapper for the cruiser. He said it'd be probably the $500 scrapper.
Watching. Hate to, I don't see how we can't not put them back out then,
Let's put them back out to bid with no,
no reserve,
No.
and see what we get.
did you say 500 was bid by the scrapper? For the junker? No, he didn't bid. Would they,
He can
see,
sort
Sort of like a conversation.
figure out what it would be.
of like an estimate of what he would give.
What do you give? Well, in whatever perception you let them have. Yeah, right, that out the minimum. Then so less than the price of the scrapper.
Well, all bids always go out with, right to accept or reject any and all bids.
Yeah.
So,
Something, don't say you got a sure thing, if you say you give them $500, I'd go with 500 minimum. That's all me.
Put it out, real-
Put it back out.
put it back out. Okay.
No minimum.
You want to do a $500 minimum? For no reserve?
Well, we already know if that guy stands true to what he,
Good Lord.
yeah. $500.
I guess keep the 500 minimum.
Okay.
Dump truck.
No minimum.
All right, thank you. Old business number 2 this evening is our bid survey results for our gravel. Due to gravel and testing from the last select board meeting, I had
Stopping, I need to.
so I had
Yeah.
right over here. I had an employee, from Colonel Town, reach out to a number of different communities in the area to provide samples of the gravel, which were unlabeled. They were in their original containers that were submitted to us. Just to say, to provide 4 different categories for their preference for gravel. One was gradation consistency. So how uniform was the 3/4 inch size? Were there fewer fines and minimal oversize? The second category was for cleanliness. It was the level of dust, clay, or organic material present, and the cleaner was the better, higher score. Material hardness or durability was the resistance to breakdown or weathering. So was there more granite than other stones, etc. And then fourth was for local conditions. Would they recommend this gravel for their house? So the first sample, the first town, number 1, provided a preference for vendor number 10. The second town provided a preference for vendor number 5. And the third town showed a preference for vendor number 10. So this is a 2-to-1 preference over the gravel that was submitted to the town.
And so, and it's right, that gravel is not my wheelhouse. But after last meeting, I knew we were gonna have to talk about quality of the gravel. So of course I talked to Jay, did some research about gravel and, trying to understand more about when we're building on gravel roads versus gravel under pavement and the different rock that comes from one vendor or another. One's hard or the other one's more like ledge or slate. And what I really wanted to get down to though was the difference in the cost too, from what I understand, a bit of 1305 versus 14 a ton on 7,500 tons. The difference is about $1,100 overall.
So that was for stone. So the 3/4
What's it for gravel?
the 3/4 inch gravel, one was $9.65. The other was $9.50.
Oh, it is a nickel. Nickel. Okay, how many?
15 cents.
Oh, 15 cents. How many tons?
And this was for 7,500 tons.
15 cents?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Hold on. I'm sorry, repeat. Oh, 3,500. That's 15 cents?
Yes.
Yeah, 11.25. Sorry, I wrote that down. 11.25 is the difference. So I wanted to ask, what is it that we put down on Martin Meadow Road when it gets dry and it's dusty? What's that product? And so, and what is like, I don't know that you would have this off the top of your head, but what does that cost with in man hours and product and to do that? And if we took a sample that was less desirable, let's say, would we end up spending more than by having to put this other product on when it gets dusty? The complaints of dust is what I think we're going to get.
I think almost no matter what, it gets once after spring rains are done and the road dries out. And that seems to work pretty well in most places. I will say on Causeway Street, it doesn't work as well because there's that movement underneath the dirt. And it makes it dusty. I know that's one of my biggest gripes is the dust. But hopefully that'll be corrected coming up with the work.
So
But I think it's twice a year they put it on.
we put it on automatically, because I remember a couple summers ago, it was really dry, and he had to put it on more often. That was kind of an issue with his budget. I just remember it was Martin Meadow Road, long line ago. And it was an issue that I think there was some complaints that it was dry. So I'm trying to set the cost versus the quality, because one of these qualities better for when it's a gravel road and the other one's better for when it's under a pavement based on how soft the rock is versus like a slate or ledge versus glacial remains or something like that. So No, I'm not a geotech engineer. I wish I just had that. But I don't, but quality of 2 to 1 from other people versus not much difference in price. What was the price again?
So the price for,
I don't know.
$950
Yeah.
for AB and $965 for Viati.
65?
Yes.
Yeah, and of course, I don't know which sample is which results, so. This is like Pepsi and Coke, blind taste test. So, I'm just worried about, I guess I'm worried about the dust.
Yeah, it's gonna be an issue, especially if you get a dry summer, I think you're gonna get away from that issue.
So what are your thoughts on the results that Jessica just gave us? As far as those 4 categories that were reviewed. Survey.
Survey, blind survey.
Yeah.
The best way, if we're gonna use the survey, the best way is to continue to do it blindly, and if we're gonna accept the
Which one? That's a,
one that got the 2 votes saying that that's the product that the other towns would prefer
versus the
versus.
price of 15 cents a ton.
Right.
I tried to do the
I
math.
would, but sitting there on the best way to do it is continue to be blind. We know who the 2 products are from. We don't know who product
No.
on the line top. So is that how we want to decide?
Yeah, see, that's that's why I was coming to like the hard data, which is $1,125.
Yeah.
Is the difference in the cost. Is the quality worth more than $1,100? Or the
think having
survey
the
of
right
quality
product is probably,
worth $1,100?
you got a poor quality product, then you're gonna be using more of it, I believe. That part is gonna be an issue. no matter
Either
what.
way.
The, make a motion that we purchase the product that come out. Number 1 in the survey.
In the survey, okay, we would, yeah, okay, one more time, what you said? Make a motion to accept.
The
Oh,
products that
Yeah.
came out. Number 1, the 2 for 1 in the survey.
Okay, I'll second that product. First, that product.
Got a motion in a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, another geotech.
For clarity's sake, vendor 5 was AB, vendor 10 was Viati. So the motion,
Oh, 10 was,
And I still, once I prefer not to know that before the vote. So,
okay,
okay, we step back in. All right, I'm back.
okay.
all right, so old business number 3 is the storm update. We have submitted our mitigation efforts, our mitigation requirements over to, FEMA. That includes, where the mitigation efforts are, the width, the depth, the materials, so on and so forth for their approval, and that's been approved. I've submitted long ago, in perhaps February, our big road project that was, the roads have been brought up to speed and now we have to finish them off. They're moving that through their costing to try and get us, paid on what we've already expended. So we'll continue to meet with them to make sure that we'll get our reimbursement for hundreds of thousands of dollars we've spent in the roads last year. Hoping to use those monies to put towards these other efforts and then.
Are you on a regular cadence with FEMA?
Yes, I meet with them every Thursday for about a half. Yep. And, it includes representatives from FEMA, FEMA's sanitation arm, and also from HSEM in.
And do they come and do, a site visit again, or they kind of done?
They may do an, once that's like.
Oh, at the end, yeah, kind of blows out, let's say. Yep,
No, in the past, they've done all.
okay. To make sure that the work actually got done. Do they measure again, like do they have?
I don't think they go that far, but I think they look at volume, it's not area over. They'll know what site.
And we don't feel as though there's like anything out or any, not enough money to pay for it from FEMA and those kind of.
No,
concerns?
so all of those funds have been earmarked for us,
Great, that's great, thank you,
getting more or less through their process.
that's fabulous.
The walk in.
We're welcome.
Fiscal, time consuming,
40th.
yeah.
All right, that's it for the storm update. Next order of business is select board member reports.
Only question. How are we making out with the Conway project?
We submitted, a request to, the railroad that allow us to form the work. So
We're still waiting, then
we're still waiting for that. Yeah.
authorize it.
Yeah.
That contractor is ready to go and.
My only question is actually maybe to Leon, do you know what's up the flags before the Wild Day?
Boy Scouts on Main Street.
Oh, good, see the flags. Okay, I saw that the cannon went up today, so we parked, yes, all's right, it's summertime. Is it, are you sure? Yes, because I'm not ignoring that, told out, I'm ignoring that. Cannon is in place.
Yes, then you don't really have a report, I just wonder how we're coming along on the street by North End Market, Depot Street, in that seems to have been a project.
Yes, so there has been 2 sewer breaks, one on Middle Street and one on Depot Street. They were over on Railroad Street checking, ties for the lead service lines to make sure that, you know, before we repave everything, we wanted to check and see what was underneath the ground, so they've been doing that. However, the break at Depot Street used the very last bit of gravel that the town had, so, we're, you know, I'm grateful that we'll be able to move forward and, you know, if anything else happens, we would get a brief. So, they've been working very well, of course.
So moving forward, this bidding process will be to a certain date every year. right?
Yeah, so that, I'm sorry,
We won't have this problem.
and so, we've awarded gravel specifically for the road reconstruction. And this other solicitation that I put out is for future purchases. So, technically, if anything else happens, we may have to scramble, figure out the gravel situation. Yep.
Like
But
Alan said, we might have other materials we have to put out at some point.
yes, and there's, it included, you know, 6-inch stone, 1.5 inch, whatever, different types of materials as well as machine hours. So do you have a extra excavator, a certain type of excavator, working with Tim to understand what we may need, to have in hand. And I have provided them, I think, pricing for a year, guarantee us pricing for a little bit.
I guess while we're asking, I can ask about the, solar panels project update, what we heard on that.
The only thing that we are waiting on our onboarding for the project, we've just, been kind of, paused for a moment, so we're waiting to schedule that. Checked in with the consultant at New Hampshire Department of Energy, and, I think a week or so ago, and she said we're still kind of in a pause pattern. I think that they're working with other communities and we're just kind of doing all this. Next up on the agenda is the town manager report. I heard from Barry Normando, and the fabricator will be meeting with Tim Brown and Tim Billadew to talk about drilling areas of the fountain for the lines very soon. So I hope to meet with that here. Yep, Chief Flynn, Chief Woodworth and I had a conversation about a community disaster drill event with Lancaster Elementary School, Genesis Healthcare, and Leeds Medical Center, and also St. John Paul II School. This will build off of a previous tabletop activity, so just doing some training essentially. The past couple of weeks have had 0 welfare applicants. And this week I've scheduled phone interviews with applicants for the finance director position. And also to report at the highway department, the town gas tank is empty, but the diesel tank still has some in it. As soon as the diesel tank is picked, the tanks will be removed under the MTBE settlement fund, so it won't be taxpayer dollars. It's coming out of the settlement fund. We already talked about the sewer break.
How would you guess just when that will be, like how long it'll take to use up that diesel?
Likely the end of the week. Yeah. Yeah, soon. I still am trying to solicit folks for the Lancaster Housing Authority. I was hoping to have an appointment before you this evening, but didn't quite make it, unfortunately. They still do not have a quorum and need some hot bodies in order to carry on their business, to update their documents and move forward with their agreements under the Berlin Housing Authority. I'm going to be soliciting, and I meant to do this prior to my vacation, but soliciting, reaching out to all boards and committee members throughout town just to see if anybody has any other recommendations for folks who may be interested. The Lancaster Housing Authority for folks, so they understand, administers Section 8 housing vouchers in Lancaster under the guidance of the borough. I
Attention to those meetings, do you know, and where they held?
they've typically been quarterly here in Lancaster in the auditorium. They are at a point though that they have expired agreements and, checking accounts, so on and so forth, that need to be form in order to do so. So the initial time investment may be more significant than it is overall. But once they get into a groove, it should be, once a quarter, looking at, financials and signing off on things.
When you recruited before, was there like a little job description that was provided with it? I can't remember.
A little bit, but the feedback I've received is that I wasn't forthcoming in kind of the buildup, for all this work that's needed at the time. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I'm working with, the executive director over at Berlin Housing Authority to work with that. Yep. Yeah. I also attended a trustees of the trust funds meeting with the Evan Smith Fund Committee meeting on May 7th at the library. There's some continued action items from both groups moving forward from that. And I've been quite busy with the healthcare stuff. But again, messaging out appropriately to retirees and making sure that everything's in place for our leading on July 1st.
Now go to December 31.
Correct.
2025.
Correct. With no commitment to that organization, so we can switch at the end of the year. And that's it. Information, you have a zoning board meeting notice on May 28th, 2025 at 6:30. Land use permits, there was permits at 46 Rowell Road. You have a permit at 137 Prospect Street for the second renewal. At 15 Church Street for also second renewal. 79 Main Street for an amendment. 69 Buffalo Road. 23 Prospect Street for an amendment. 92 Rowell Road for renewal. And 118 Stebbins Hill Road. There's that for you. And then finally this evening, opening up to public comments.
Anybody from the public? Okay.
Hi, I forgot to make a pick, so, my name is Melissa Trella, and I just want to thank Jessica for just being really, you're very receptive to like emails, and I just want to thank you for that, and getting back really quickly. I had, my question is, I initially emailed him, correct, Mr. Hunter? in the early part of this month, because I had watched, I think it was in April, early April, select board meeting that they were gonna, be paving, Bunker and Stone Street, which I was really excited about. But I had just reached out to him asking if there was any way that we didn't have to have a sidewalk redone, because it sounded like they were gonna redo the sidewalk on Stone Street. I didn't hear back from him, so I had reached out to Jessica, and Jessica had suggested that I do a petition with the 8 homeowners on Stone Street, to see if we just didn't have to have it, because I guess the sidewalk was also going to be redone, and we were just gonna ask if we just don't even have to have a sidewalk. The reason I'm here is that I haven't been petitioned together yet. I've only talked to 3 homeowners, and I just didn't know the timeline, and I didn't know if I had time to continue to get a petition together.
What is Tim's timeline?
Mid-June, okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I know, it's like next week, right after. So there is some time, so.
There'll be a meeting on June 2nd, I believe.
And I just didn't know, I know he's busy, and I didn't know if it would be appropriate to even like talk to him over at Stone Street. That's like if there was a few of us that just had questions about. We can do, yeah, I don't know. I know he's busy, but,
What is the reasoning that you wouldn't want a sidewalk?
well, because first of all, it sounds like it's being widened. And we definitely didn't want to have like a wider sidewalk, because we all actually woke up one day and we all had stakes in our lawn. So we were like, oh, what's this? So we were guessing that meant that they were gonna be like widening the sidewalk and we're gonna go into our lawn. I know one of our neighbors.
Those could be offset.
Okay, I did talk to one of my neighbors, and he's also just concerned about the sidewalk, just because it's gonna impact his driveway. And just, I know, yeah, so I guess that was just,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have to get together with Tim and figure out
Okay.
what states do
Sure.
actually represent.
Okay, yeah, I know that we were all connected, we were like, the sports gonna go, oh, shit.
No, I would think those were offset.
I need to move my horse. All right, so should I reach out?
Yeah, reach out to me and I'll set it up.
Okay. Yeah. That was all.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Got anything?
Did we decide that, when the sand's gonna be in that did pulling out
So it's separate.
Hmm?
It's separate?
separate?
Yeah.
Once it goes out, if there's no other thing darn, we get the same bang for the buck, yeah, so.
Probably not, but you can count on me.
No, I just, plenty of those products, that there's 11 products, 4 of them have been bid.
You can bear with me after this meeting. I'll pull up the list that I sent over.
Okay. Yeah. And I applaud your decision, decision on the gravel, green gravel is a step above AV gravel. As far as dusting goes, if they're making different put on gravel, that's gonna be dusting about chloride. And I don't think that either one would be less dust. So I applaud your decision, know it's a tough one, but it's just pure product and my information and a lot of other contractors.
I appreciate Jessica's work on trying to have a quality assessment that could be done blindly. So that Tim Brown wasn't in the position of judging on his boss's boss, quite honestly.
Absolutely, that's, Jim is not putting it. He certainly knows which gravel is better, but he shouldn't put that decision. Katie would be the closest thing to his immediate supervisor.
Okay.
Rob,
I'll put on my 2 hats, Connecticut River hat. There isn't much going on in our commission, not much interest from other towns. So I'm going to make an effort to see permits that we are sent are distributed from the select boards and decision making towns, at least some of them. And we would love to have another member from Lancaster. Basically, the meeting once a quarter, usually a little. And the only local river advisory group that is smaller and less active than Riverbend, which is we are, is Headwaters, which is everything north of here. So there's some movement to try and get some stuff going, if it's a good idea, and to keep some communication, but upstream stuff. That is Connecticut River Act. Airport. They're getting ready for a really big show last weekend of June. There'll be some military presence and civil air patrol and emergency services are using this time for planning exercise. And Jessica, maybe that's something that chief would be interested in with respect to emergency drills. I don't know. I know that Dalton and Whitefield have done a lot of planning, and anything there that would be useful to him, would like to be part of it. That's good. Feels that the amateur radio club was going to try to operate here, but like they usually do, they're going to operate across the street from the fairgrounds. Usually how it's working. They will have a presence at the airport, and there's this deal during field day, which they get points if they get somebody on the air who can go to the air gizmo. So they'll try to do that with handheld radio communicating. Basic deal. I guess the admission is $20 a car. Many people as you can put in. Whitefield Lions are serving pancakes for a modest fee, of course, on Sunday morning. And there'll be vendors, plenty of demonstrations, and a pretty good air show. All I know is we had to order 55 gallons of what they call smoke oil. That's all part of the excitement coming out of the back end of the plane. So that's going on Saturday and Sunday, June 28th and 29th. And also, I've invited our state representatives, Mr. Tierney and Sean's last name Durkin. Yeah, I invited them to come. It's possible that Joe Kenny will be there and maybe even the governor. So want to make you all aware when politicians are coming traipsing through your town. Here we go. Okay.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none. Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll sign it.
All in favor? Right? Aye. We're done.